Hello everybody, what is going on? My name is Fluffless Formulations, and today we are back with more Viscera cleanup detail. Now today we are going to be moving on from Athena's Wrath. Today we are going to be moving on to the Paintenance tunnels. And why is that? It's because I don't really feel like playing Waste Disposal at the moment, so we're going to be moving on to the Paintenance tunnels. We shall be getting to work. Name Fluffless, age 65. Occupation Hygiene Technician. Brief. As you are well aware, the Vern, Neptex aquatic substation was overrun and decimated by interloping entities. The Vern is presently ruined, filthy, and unsafe for human habitation. Nevertheless, you have a job to do. Due to the difficulty in getting you to this location and the expenditure involved, we are issuing you and the operation an F-Class security protocol. You have been warned. Move with haste and perform your duties as required of you, and we may not need to dock your pay to recoup excessive operational expenses. Alright. So I am trying... Oh my gosh, I have auto run on. So I actually had to reinstall this game on a different hard drive as an attempt to make it run smoothly, because I've heard that if you run it on a solid state drive, it runs into some issues. So we have right here our what a load bin thing. I really love the look of these aliens, by the way, I must say. Like, just starting off, these aliens look great. But that little hiccup that I was having in Athena's Wrath, and something that I've been discussing avidly with my brother for the last probably 4 or 5 hours today, attempting to get it fixed, apparently may be able to be fixed by putting it on a standard hard drive. I've heard rumor that running this on a solid state can cause some issues, so I've put it on my standard hard drive, and we're going to see where that leaves us. So we do have quite a mess down here on the Vern, I believe the ship was called. Also, I found out these hexagon crates are actually crates that you have to stack in the crate section. So that's a thing. Looks like we have some nitrogen, something we're going to have to look out for. Also, look at these sweet reflections going on in the background here. These are very, very nice reflections, I must say. They did a great job. This game looks fantastic. Okay, so here we have the Slosh-O-Matic. It's a good machine to have. And oh, right over here we have ourselves the furnace. So I think first things first, we should do kind of what, or I guess we didn't do this last time, but I should explain to you my method. My method generally, when I go into a new facility to clean, is I start by cleaning up the pathway between the machines. So given that these two machines are the closest together, I'm going to bring up a couple bins, and we're going to start cleaning up between these two machines. And hopefully, if all goes well, this will mean that we can walk between the two machines without spreading any guck, any muck or grime around as we walk about the facility. Of course, we can only hope that that is what will happen. There is no guarantee. Before we get going, I want to get another bin kind of prepped for us for when we come back for more bins later, because we will inevitably have to. Alright, so we've got ourselves a bin. Let's get to work, shall we? So I must say, large thank you to Mr. Lee Suss, who, if you watched my Athena's Wrath videos, I believe I talked about him a small amount. He is a very casual YouTuber in the way that he goes about things, but he does a lot of Viscera cleanup detail, and he's the reason that I'm playing this game and decided to start recording it, because I thoroughly enjoy watching this game. I find it quite calming. It's not every day. It's not something that I would watch every day as like a main series per se. But There are definitely times, like in the evening, if I sit down with a drink and have a little bit of homework to do or something, I find it very calming to have playing in a window on one of my monitors or something of the sort. It's a very relaxing game, and that's why I've decided to play it as well, because I find it quite relaxing, and hopefully you guys do as well. But I would like to thank him, because he was part of the process one for me getting this game and playing it, of course, but he was also very helpful in helping me troubleshoot some of the problems I had been having with this game running. He helped me kind of dabble with my settings menu a fair bit, and I found it quite helpful. So if you saw there that slight little stutter, that's what I was hoping we would be avoiding by reinstalling this game. I may be moving it back to the solid state just because it loads faster on the solid state, but you know, this is definitely some progress. I don't know that this is necessarily running any better than it was on solid state, but we'll just have to see. It's a little early yet to tell. So we can throw away these nasty bits. Big old alien blood. That's one thing that's going to stink to mop up, is this alien blood, because it's blue and therefore it will be hard to... I'm not used to looking for blue on the end of my mop, so it's going to be a little bit of a change, something that we're going to have to adapt to. But we're pretty smart janitors. There's a reason that we have been hired for this job while the other janitors are left back cleaning normal things, because we're very good at our job and they trust us to get the job done right, to get it done efficiently. I don't know how smart it is to be putting these alien parts in the bins. These alien parts are quite big, and they almost warrant their own bin. Each individual part almost warrants its own bin. So that is something to consider. Like this fellow here. Look at his face. Look at the detail. Look at all the detail on his face. It's quite impressive, I gotta say. I don't know how games are coded, but I assume that a lot of effort was put into that, and I'm very appreciative of it because it looks fantastic. I think all of this game looks quite nice. Oh man, we got quite a big fellow over here. Gonna have to burn him up. Make sure he stays in there longer than the others. Burn him up right. So it looks like we have Dr. Rectim. Is this supposed to be like Dr. Rectum? That's funny. What does that say? Donate something. It just says donate, I believe, if I'm reading that properly. Now these small human bits we can put back in a bin. Human bits fit in a bin much nicer. We'll throw that over there. We don't quite need to throw that away. But Dr. Rectim and his large torso can go away. Now, a little bit of a fun fact for you. This is actually I believe the third or fourth attempt now that I've been attempting to record this level, and this, especially the first episode, because every time I've begun, here, we'll just go ahead and throw Dr. Rectim, or Dr. Tim, put him into the Punch-O-Matic right now, just so, get him out of the way. But every single time I began recording of this level, my brother and his friends who are playing Dungeons & Dragons upstairs, I know a bunch of nerds, right? They would come down and start talking very loudly in the other room. Or they would come in and start looking at my computer while I'm recording, and it was quite frustrating, I must say. Not the end of the world by any means, but they know that I'm down here recording, and it is a slight issue when people keep coming in and disturbing you while recording. So let's let bygones be bygones and move on from that, but just a little fun fact for you. Can I get the light? There we go. Apparently you have to move the light as it would. Oh, is the light working? Yeah, it is. The light looks weird from this angle, I guess. It looks strange. I don't know. I guess I thought it was broken. So do we have a broom? We do have a broom. Do I have to open this? Is there a secret sub-level? It's good that there's not. So I guess all of these other brooms we just throw away because I already have a broom. And therefore have no need for any more brooms. Oh, silly me, I almost forgot all these bits over here. Silly me not even paying attention to where all the viscera and bits were. It's a rookie mistake there, that could have gotten me fired. That's one thing I always think is fun when playing with newer players is the amount of like little stuff that they miss, and it's all part of the oh my, there's blood on the ceiling. It's all part of the process, but I always find it funny how much you learn to actually look for very small chunks when playing this game. It's something that you probably don't think too much about when you're thinking, oh, I'm going to be playing a mopping game, but no, it's more than just mop up the blood. There's lots of little bits hiding in the blood, and especially if you're like me and you have finally become a good enough janitor to turn off the object highlighting, which if you watch the Athena's Wrath, you'll see if you look at like a barrel or a bin, it'll have a slight outline around it, a little white outline. In fact, let me turn it on very quickly and I will show you. So if you have the pickup highlighting on, it'll have this little glow around it when you look at things. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a slight glow to things. So if you look at things on the ground that are in the blood, like that bullet there, it's very easy to see it. But I feel like if you're a true hardcore player of this game, you turn it off because you're better than that. Because it takes away from the immersion for me if you leave that on. And I know it's very strange for me to be saying I enjoy the immersion in a mopping game, but call me crazy, I do. Oh dear, what happened over? I like these little hand marks like he was trying to get out. How did he get up so high? How did he... Those hand marks are quite high. Quite high indeed. Does that say Twitch Speef? I believe that name is in fact Twitch Speef. What an odd name. Can't say I've ever heard of anyone named Twitch Speef before. Can't even say I know what it's meant to be a pun of, if it even is meant to be a pun of something. Ah, that's something you have to love about this game, isn't it? The glitchy, weird physics of the limbs. It's a delightfully awful noise, don't you think? I guess we should get rid of this tentacle if at all possible. To be our next step. Attempting to get rid of this large tentacle bit. If even possible. I don't even know if it's gonna fit. I don't think it actually can fit all the way in there in one go. How on earth did you get that in there for burning? Oh dear. Do you just leave it hanging out and it eventually burns away? I guess we'll have to come back in a few minutes and see what happened. We'll leave it to burn, I suppose, and it has stopped twitching, which is... There it goes! My oh my, that was strange. But yes, we'll go back down and we'll get another bin and clean up these last little bits of this hallway here. I think we'll clean up this strange hallway and then this little area over here, up to that kind of archway thing, that kind of separating area, into the next room. And then I think we'll mop that section up. So at that point, that section is pretty well completed in my mind. And that way we have those sections all the way clean. We know that it's all the way clean, and we can move on from there as knowing that it is all cleaned up. So up to what I was talking about is up to where Mr. Wiggly Man is here. See this kind of sub half wall here? Kind of, to me at least, it marks a second room. So I think we're going to use that as kind of our cutoff point for cleaning out the area around the slosh-o-matic and the furnace. Now, a strange thing, I can't actually remember why I bought this game in the first place, because I did own it long before I discovered Mr. Lisa's, probably about a month and a half or so beforehand. And I don't entirely remember why I purchased this on my own. I don't recall watching. I mean, perhaps I know I had watched a couple of like Jacksepticeye or Markiplier. They always did their little one-off, spin-off little videos, and I probably saw it in there once or twice, but I never remember it particularly grabbing my attention until very recently, until the last couple of weeks. So I am curious what it was that inspired me to buy this game. We'll get Keel Ovar. We'll get Keel in there, as well as this other USB stick. I believe their name is Twitch. Yes, Twitch Speef. And we'll get them out of our way so we don't accidentally burn them to a crisp. Because that would not look pretty. That wouldn't look very good on the paperwork now, would it? Any and all identification of these individuals, of these employees of, I can't remember the name of the company, but burning all identification of them, probably not going to get me promoted. So that's something we shall avoid. Before we leave this corner, I'll just do one last little sweep. And of course, when we come back to finish, when we come over with our mop, we can always go grab another bin if need be, but of course, the more we can clean up now, the better. Now, do you have a USB stick? You do. Your name is J. Wankapopoulos? J. Wankapopoulos. I'm sure that that last name didn't get you super far in high school. I feel like that would be something that everyone would say, "Oh, you're just wanking it all the time." You just say that you're beating your meat, or other such terms. So I'm glad to see that you did well in the world, given a last name like that. A lot of people would get picked on quite a bit for something like that, having the word wank in your last name. So it just goes to show you that even if you have a silly last name and you get made fun of in school, that you can still do great things in life. Mr. Wankapopoulos obviously did. That is a strange last name though, isn't it? Wankapopoulos. Alright, good to see we are almost done with at least the cleanup of the viscera and bits in this small section here. So that is a good start. That is some good progress we're making. Do we already have any We already have a couple of buckets. Suppose there's no reason to get rid of a perfectly good bin, so we'll set it off to the side here. And we will get out our mop and start a mopping.